Good evening. I'm Connie Chung, and this is NBC Nightly News. A huge storm system spawned tornadoes from Canada to Pennsylvania and Ohio, killing at least 90 people. Hundreds injured, thousands homeless. The governors of Ohio and Pennsylvania both declared a state of emergency. We have two reports. First, Jennifer McLogan in Pennsylvania.
The tornadoes played leapfrog with one another, scooping up whole neighborhoods, arbitrarily skipping the next. In Pennsylvania, the death toll reached more than 60.
It was a carnage. It's like a war.
There's people all over the place, and
I felt like I was about the only one left in town. There was just nobody here. And I couldn't believe it.
Tornadoes surged over much of the Midwest, ripping through western and central Pennsylvania, northeastern Ohio, western New York State, and even parts of Ontario. Hundreds were injured, even more left homeless. The National Weather Service said it put out tornado warnings, but some said the tornadoes just hit too quickly.
Now they're gone. Now I don't got no one.
Erie County, Pennsylvania, where more than a dozen died, appeared to be the hardest hit. Officials say there was $13 million worth of damage in the town of Albion, where virtually every building was destroyed.
There's bodies laying under all this rubble. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Pennsylvania's governor declared a state of emergency and called out the National Guard. The Red Cross here said it was the worst weather-related disaster in state history. The tiny farming community of Atlantic was leveled. 5 were killed running for cover. Dozens hurt seriously. Their farms and livestock, a total loss. Many of the farmers were Amish and carry no insurance. Residents of Cranesville fared no better. This trailer park had more than a dozen homes. The tornado tossed the trailers like tinker toys, picking them up and then dropping them hundreds of feet away. When the first funnel cloud touched down here, it was 5:10 p.m. Scott and Chris Luthi were just returning from work to greet their baby girl when they heard what sounded like a railroad car explode through their back door.
You could see the tornado coming, and I just grabbed my baby. I have an 18-month-old baby, and I just grabbed her and a blanket, and I ran.
They hid in a ravine. The tornado passed over their heads, but everyone else in the trailer park was hurt. 3 were killed.
But just the thought of seeing my house like it was, it's just terrifying. And to hear that people were killed up here, you know, and we could have been killed too. It's just terrifying and horrifying. And it's just...
Jennifer McLogan, NBC News, Erie County, Pennsylvania.
In the gritty, blue-collar work town of Wheatland, Pennsylvania, 6 were killed, 32 injured, and most of the town's south side blown away. The Ohio Street Hotel looked like a dollhouse. This used to be the Yurga Trucking Company. This was Sawhill Pike. This a house. This a neighboring apartment building. The tallest building in town, the 130-year-old Victorian Shenango Hotel, is no longer 3 stories tall, no longer a hotel. 2 died here. Its owners stared at the wreckage. Only the bar stools seemed undamaged. Relatives embraced those who survived. The Powell home. Their grandchildren salvaged what they could. Herb and Elizabeth Powell weren't there to help because they were hospitalized. Among what was cleared from the wreckage of their house, a neighbor's vehicle blown there from 100 yards away. Recollections of what it was like.
It just blew the whole place right away, and they said they were down on the floor and they were hugging each other and holding the backs of their heads so that, you know, everything was flying, and Linda was being hit in the back with concrete blocks. The cooler fell down on top of them.
It took the storm only minutes to pass through. It'll take residents months, in some cases years, to rebuild their homes and their lives. Robert Hager, NBC News, Wheatland, Pennsylvania.
In Ohio, 16 people were killed. More are feared dead. In one town alone, 9 people died. Property damage is estimated at more than $4 million. Ann Rubenstein has the story from Niles, Ohio.
There may have been 2 funnels, there may have been 10. No one is sure, but one of them tore a path 3.5 miles across dozens of living rooms in Niles, Ohio. People lost everything and didn't have much warning. Mary Hurlinger's home for 12 years is gone.
Well, this was my living room.
My cigarettes. Down the street, the Jamesons were not hurt, but all they have left of a 3-bedroom home is a hole in the ground.
Everything got dark. We went down the basement steps. The next thing we knew, the lights were on, but the lights were on because the house was off of us. We heard it all just rip right off the thing slowly, and we just looked up and everything was gone.
Several bodies were found last night, and the search for others is continuing. 4 people were killed in this area, which just a day ago was a small shopping center and a skating rink. Had the tornado hit just 40 minutes later, it would have been even more disastrous. The skating rink would have been open and crowded. It was free pass night, and they were expecting at least 300 young people here. The National Guard has been patrolling and came in after Ohio Governor Richard Celeste toured the area and declared 3 counties disaster areas. Cleanup of the community will take weeks, and it may take as long for the shock to wear off. The devastation was hard to believe.
I figured, the windows in the back of the house had blown out, but never expected this.
What'd you think when you saw it?
Oh, God. I was just thinking, we were all hiding under the pool table, and I was just glad we were alive.
You'll never forget it, I know. It just roared like crazy, and then all dirt and everything falling on my head and back, and I looked up and the whole upstairs was gone. Everything.
Oh, Nene! Officials here say it was the worst storm ever to pass through. Ann Rubenstein, NBC News, Niles, Ohio.
Coming up, New York's tourist season is hit hard by a hotel workers' strike. Norma Quarles will have that report. British travelers are warned to be careful after this week's soccer riot that killed dozens. Phil Bremen will have details. And Doug Ramsey reports on Hollywood's battle with the video cassette industry as summer blockbusters hit the big screen.
$1 million.
Good morning. Aetna Life and Casualty knows that all employees are not all alike. That's why we pioneered flexible benefit plans for our clients. So instead of carbon copy life insurance, he can double his coverage at the group rate. Instead of Me Too Medical, she can raise her deductible and put the difference in dental. Instead of duplicating the husband's coverage, she can shift premiums into tax-deferred savings. Aetna, helping business respond to the changing face of America.
We're glad we met you.
You know, Connie, this campaign's impressive.
Campaign impressions?
No, Ace Best Buys of the Month.
Could you make that perfectly clear?
Sure. This Gilmore Turret Sprinkler is a June Best Buy and has 5 different spray settings for only $3.33.
Tricky. But where's the hole?
Our 5/8-inch, 80-foot reinforced hose is Best Buy priced at only $8.99.
Well, that's just peanuts.
Wind it up on the Ames hose reel. Another Best Buy at only $9.88.
Well, there they go again. Ace is the place with the helpful hardware man.
Want a good reason why my antacid is Tums? I'll give you 3. 1, Tums is effective. It neutralizes 1/3 more stomach acid than the other leading brand. And that's what I take an antacid for. 2, sodium. I don't want any. And Tums is sodium-free. 3, Tums is rich in calcium. And to me, an extra source of calcium is extra good news.
At the height of New York City's tourist season, when 1.5 million people visit the city each month, hotel workers have gone on strike. Bewildered guests in some hotels woke up to find they were serving themselves breakfast. Norma Quarles reports on the strike and the prospects for a settlement.
This was the scene at midnight last night at the Waldorf Astoria as hotel workers walked off the job and went on strike for the first time in New York City's history. In all, 14,000 employees at 45 hotels, including some of the most exclusive, went on strike. At the Plaza Hotel, the entranceway was splattered with eggs. Guests were jeered as they entered or left. Among those on strike, maids, desk clerks, chefs, and bellhops. Luggage sat on sidewalks until management personnel could get them. Then workers were jeered. The issue is money. The Hotel Workers Union is seeking a 6.5% wage increase. Management is offering 4.5%.
They want to pay us 1970 wages, and they're charging 1980 prices. They're charging 1990 prices. $200, $250 a room, and offer us 4%. It's ridiculous.
The strike comes at the onset of the summer tourist season when 5 million people visit the city. It's a $2 billion a year business, and city officials fear a long strike.
I can't understand why they don't settle. We cannot afford to
to lose the tourism that would come here.
Comedian Dick Van Dyke and singer Leslie Uggams, in town for the Tony Awards, entered the Plaza Hotel.
I'm always against crossing the picket lines, but we're here to do the Tonys.
Union leaders say the hotels will have to do without food deliveries or garbage pickups. Their unions are honoring the picket lines. Norma Quarles, NBC News, New York.
President Reagan said today that special interests in Washington are trying to pick apart his tax simplification plan. To defend the plan, the president said he will be the people's lobbyist in Washington, a town which he said doesn't take very well to change. The Internal Revenue Service passed a milestone today. From today on, it must pay 13% interest, compounded daily since April 15th, on refund checks it owes taxpayers. It still owes about 6 million refunds, and it is expected to pay out more than the $209 million in interest it paid last year. In Snow Hill, North Carolina, federal investigators say they may never learn why a military truck driver smashed into a school bus yesterday. 5 children were killed, 20 injured. Witnesses said the truck driver appeared to have slumped over his steering wheel before the crash. He died in the accident. David Hazinski reports.
Wreckers removed one of the tractor trailers involved today, and local people tried to understand why 5 neighborhood children had to die when the truck collided with a school bus on a rural highway. Farmer Clayton Keel was one of the first to arrive after the wreck.
I'm 60 years old. I hope I don't never see nothing like that before.
I know it hurts. One witness said the school bus was slit open like a sardine can by a tractor trailer whose driver was slumped over the steering wheel. The tractor trailer and another one involved in the wreck caught fire. Keel, in the overalls, helped rescue some of the children.
We took them one by one and carried them off, about 20, 30 feet from the school bus. So that was our main thing, was trying to get them out from the fire where that truck was burning.
Rescue crews were quick to respond, but 5 children died from injuries they received in the crash. The driver of the truck also died in the flames. 7-year-old Cindy Letchworth was one of 20 young students injured.
When I woke up, I was on the ground. I think I got thrown out. And they put me on a boat and put me in the rescue truck.
At least 12 other students are still hospitalized, 3 of them in critical condition. In a town of only about 1,000 people, the injuries and the loss of so many children at once hurts everyone. Investigators haven't come up with any obvious cause of the bus crash yet, but people in this rural area are still too shocked and too sad to worry about who's to blame. David Hazinski, NBC News, Snow Hill, North Carolina.
FBI agents raided a Baltimore apartment and found detailed plans to bomb the old executive office building next to the White House. A dozen other federal offices and a building at the U.S. Naval Academy also were targeted. Authorities believe the apartment was used by a number of radical groups. The Navy today confirmed it is considering recalling 2 retired Navy men, John Walker and his brother Arthur, to active duty so they can be tried by courts-martial. The brothers are accused, along with John Walker's son, a Navy sailor, of passing military secrets to the Soviets. If the men were tried in a military court, the Navy could avoid revealing some classified information.
Wheat thins, something like a cracker, but more like a snack. Just for you snackers, crunchy delights, kinda like a cracker, but with more snack bite. Oh, they're thin and square, and they're light as air, and they're honest to goodness Smith snackers. Wheat thins, just for you snackers, something like a cracker, but more like a snack.
Now with new cheese and nutty flavors. Wheat Thins, just for you snackers.
Nabisco.
Eureka! I have solved the mystery of the long-lasting Owens-Corning roof shingles. They have a heart of pink fiberglass. So, they have a Class A fire rating. And they do not absorb moisture. So that is the secret of the long-lasting roof shingles.
Owens Corning, our building products put your house in the bank.
If you'd like to make your play for a personal computer, don't get bogged down with worries about software and expandability. Come to the IBM PC Classic. Explore the best-selling IBM PCs and the latest in IBM software and options. With prices under par, you'll have a clear shot at higher productivity. You can get things rolling at the IBM PC Classic. So, drop in. It's now in full swing at a store near you, or call your IBM representative.
British tourists are being advised to be cautious when traveling in Europe following this week's soccer riot in Brussels. British fans are blamed for that riot. Today there was a memorial service for the victims. Phil Bremen reports.
A Belgian princess could not hold back her own tears as she tried to comfort relatives of the soccer riot victims. A 10-year-old child died along with 37 adults, almost all from Italy.
We must all strive to give international events their original true meaning, not a confrontation between the sensitivities of different population groups.
In Brussels, Britain's foreign minister said he expected Belgium to deal harshly with the British hooligans who caused the tragedy. British soccer teams already unwelcome in Belgium tomorrow are expected to be banned everywhere in Europe. Amid scattered reports of Italians harassing British tourists, the British government has warned citizens traveling in Europe to keep a low profile. But an English woman returning from Italy today said she had experienced mostly shame.
I'm afraid I felt acutely embarrassed to be English.
Today, the Italian Air Force flew home the last of the victims. Tonight, the first of the funerals. Phil Bremen, NBC News, London.
There is new evidence tonight that the Nicaraguan government is directly involved in international drug smuggling. Robin Lloyd reports from the State Department.
Ever since this Sandinista official was secretly photographed last year loading bags of cocaine into a plane headed for Florida, extremely sensitive investigations of the Nicaraguan role in the international drug trade have continued. Now there are new intelligence reports that drug traffickers are using a military airfield in northern Nicaragua called Papalonal. And still other reports that a small remote island off the Atlantic coast of Nicaragua, Corn Island, has become a key center of drug activity. Administration officials emphasize that Nicaragua and Cuba are the only countries in Latin America where high-level government officials are suspected of drug trafficking. In Miami last week, President Reagan issued a warning to Fidel Castro, a warning that may also have been intended for Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega.
Nobody in his regime is going to get away with this dirty drug business.
Administration officials are worried that this drug money is being used to finance revolution.
We have to be particularly concerned because of the ties that those governments have with international terrorists.
U.S. intelligence sources say there is increasing evidence of this connection, with recent reports that this man, Carlos Lader, a top drug kingpin, has transported Colombian guerrillas into Nicaragua for training. Senator Paula Hawkins believes the Nicaraguans' involvement in drug trafficking is increasing.
The involvement of the Nicaraguan governments from the top down, from the very senior-most officials to the least.
Still, there is little hard evidence of this. The administration is trying to get more proof. One sign of that is recently U.S. drug enforcement agents were brought into Nicaragua to investigate some of these intelligence reports. Robin Lloyd, NBC News, the State Department.
Costa Rica charges that Nicaraguan soldiers ambushed its forces in the jungle near their border, with 7 men wounded and a dozen missing. Costa Rica claims the attack began with mortar and rocket fire from inside Nicaragua, then continued when Nicaraguans crossed into Costa Rica and began shooting from the hills. Nicaragua says it is not responsible and blamed the assault on rebels. Rebels in El Salvador are plaguing President Jose Napoleon Duarte as he finishes his first year in office. The future? Still uncertain. Mike Betcher has a report from San Salvador.
Jose Napoleon Duarte believes he has a destiny to lead this tiny, overcrowded, and violent country from 5.5 years of civil war. But his dream of peace remains only that. He still must send thousands of young Salvadorans off to fight the guerrillas. Be careful, he tells one, and comply with the duty of your country. To the surprise of many, the Army has. Reluctantly, the Army's commanders even went with Duarte to the mountain village of La Palma last fall to talk to the guerrillas about ending the war.
On the long run, I had to keep on talking. I had to sit down with them because I had to convince them that they're mistaken. that the violent system is not the solution.
The talks have not brought peace, and Duarte's first 12 months as president will be recorded as another war year that continued to sap this country's strength. But since Duarte's inauguration, over $500 million of American aid have kept the Army fighting and the economy breathing. U.S. congressmen, reluctant to help a country where death squads once killed hundreds each month, now see the Duarte presidency as a new era. They've given Duarte the help he has asked for. With that help, signs of normal life are returning to El Salvador. Even with 40% unemployment, a guerrilla army that won't die, and the hardships of war, the Duarte presidency has given Salvadorans a little hope. Duarte recognizes he must keep that optimism alive.
I cannot give the image to this country that we fail.
He ended his first year today, applauded by a recently elected Salvadoran Congress that his Christian Democratic Party controls. The risks of failure and chances for success now rest squarely on his shoulders. Mike Betcher, NBC News, San Salvador.
There is a cholera outbreak in a Palestinian camp under siege by Shiite Muslims in Beirut. So far, a dozen children, all under the age of 13, have died in Shatila. That camp and a second have not fallen despite a fierce bombardment by Shiite forces, but the Shiites overran the Sabra Palestinian camp after 12 days of street fighting. Today, they bulldozed all the homes there.
Corned beef with mustard.
Cream and cheese on one. Don't forget the pickles.
You know, most any food or drink can cause bad breath. That's why I carry Clorettes, the breath deodorant. Only Clorettes has Actisol with chlorophyll, which helps your mouth's freshening power clean up bad breath fast. It's breath protection that tastes great. Of course, Clorettes cost more, but it's worth it. Clorettes, the breath deodorant, because you have bad breath more often than you think.
This Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade or your money back. Look, no cord. It's rechargeable. It never needs a cord because this convenient charger stand keeps it continually charged. The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade or your money back. Here's why. The first screen shaves incredibly close. The second screen even closer. The Remington microscreen rechargeable shaver shaves as close as a blade or your money back. And the Lady Remington rechargeable, the perfect gift, shaves without a cord.
You've been traded, Rolaids. For acid and gas, your performance is not up to tempo.
Sorry, but you're fired, Malox. You don't work hard enough. I'm switching to Tempo.
Our relationship is over, Tums. I found someone better. Tempo.
For better relief from acid and gas, people everywhere are switching to Tempo. Its soft form holds 75% more acid-relieving medicine than Rolaids. And Soft Tempo dissolves fast. Switch to better relief. Switch to Soft Tempo.
I'm glad I found you.
It's almost summertime, movie fans, the season that Hollywood counts on for 40% of its annual take at the box office. But movie makers are worried the public will wait a few months and rent the movies on tape. Doug Ramsey reports.
I'll pay you $1 million in cash.
How fitting, Richard Pryor desperately trying to spend $1 million a day in Brewster's Millions, the first release of the 1985 box office season. Hollywood knows all about spending big bucks, and this summer's no different. The studios have spent $1 billion to produce more than 40 new features that'll make it to theaters between now and Labor Day. But industry insiders worry that many moviegoers will simply stay away, scared off by higher ticket prices and the attractions of videocassette recorders, now in 1 in every 4 American homes.
The box office numbers will be down. Everything below the very big event movies, they're more than happy to wait for a few months to get it on videocassettes for $1 or $2 a night.
So far, movie theaters have grossed $93 million less than they had at this point a year ago. And returns from the nation's box offices for the Memorial Day weekend point to a summer that won't be good enough to make up for that shortfall. Nationwide, box offices took in only $100 million, $21 million less than over the same weekend 2 years ago.
More films competing for a fixed audience potential means trouble for everybody, except the 2 or 3 or 4 most popular films, which just blow everyone away.
Shouldn't play with matches.
To limit the damage, studios are playing it safe, with big names like Clint Eastwood in Pale Rider, and Chevy Chase in Fletch, and of course those seemingly interminable, and these days inevitable, sequels.
The name is Bond.
James Bond, that is, in the latest 007 installment of View to a Kill, and Sylvester Stallone's critically panned First Blood sequel, Rambo, which, despite the critics, opened to brisk business in more than 2,100 theaters, a record. More than half a dozen of this summer's new releases are science fiction fare, presumably because Hollywood hopes for a repeat of 1984. But just in case there's no Ghostbusters or Gremlins in the current crop, both of last year's blockbusters will be back in August. And Universal isn't even waiting that long.
Do you talk?
The studio is re-releasing E.T. in mid-July, a certain moneymaker in an otherwise uncertain summer season. Doug Ramsey, NBC News, New York.
And that's our news. Be sure to join Marvin Kalb and Roger Mudd on Meet the Press for a discussion on tax reform. And John Palmer will be here tomorrow night. I'm Connie Chung in New York. Thank you for joining us and for all of us at NBC News. Good night.
Imagine if something could signal you when you make a spelling mistake. That would mean you'd be able to correct it before anyone else ever saw it. Well, IBM's Selectric System 2000 typewriters with spell check can do that. It's an electronic dictionary that signals you when you misspell a word. So now if you make a spelling mistake, the whole world doesn't have to know. We're your type.
Want to build a super day? Then start with the one great taste that makes a super bowl of cereal. Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
Just think of crispy golden flakes.
Delicious, crunchy flakes of corn.
So pure and simple, just can't wait.
Low in sugar, loaded with vitamins and iron.
So good for you, don't hesitate.
For a super bowl of our most nutritious corn flakes ever.
What a super bowl. Have yourself a super bowl. Kellogg's Corn Flakes. Super taste, super good. Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
I'm Jane Pauley. This week on Today, we'll talk with Israeli Defense Minister Yitzhak Rabin, also John Travolta, Steven Spielberg, and Kirk Douglas. This week on Today.
This is Bill McAtee, and tomorrow on NBC Sports, beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, the final round of the LPGA Championship. And then it's tennis, the French Open, and John McEnroe's scheduled match against the Swede, Henrik Sundstrom. That's tomorrow on NBC.
My maiden voice.
You did great. Let's get that coffee.
Only half a cup.
Well, you love a hearty coffee.
The caffeine.
Look.
Brim decaffeinated coffee.
Dark roast from Brim. This Brim's got a deep flavor that really speaks to you.
Speaks to me. But taste this rich. Fill it to the rim.
Fill your cup to the rim with a hearty taste of dark roast from Brim, also in regular roast.
Gets away with murder. It could cost Hunter his badge.
Let's do it anyway.
Or even his life.
That eases my mind some.
Tonight. A world movie premiere starring the Duke's John Schneider and Barney Miller's Ron Glass. Out to Con a Fortune and Gus Brown and Midnight Roosters Sunday.
Up next on the scene at 6, two people